Hello, hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We are excited to talk to you about how your peers with other government agencies are benefiting from NITRO Help Desk. This will be the first webinar in a three-part series about critical systems for government, enhancing your Microsoft 365 experience. And my name is Krista White. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Crow Canyon, and I'm joined today by our COO, Jeff Priest, our Account Executive and Government Automation Specialist, Enoch Robay, and our Solutions Engineer, Ryan Stefani. And we are Crow Canyon Software, as you may have guessed from the logo. We've been in business for 24 years now, and we're GSA certified. We are also a Microsoft Preferred Business Application, and we're a California Certified Small Business. Now, before I hand things over, just kind of wanted to take care of a little bit of housekeeping, just a few things to note. Go ahead and use that question box on the right-hand side there. We will be keeping an eye on that and answering questions as we go. And if we don't get to your question during the webinar, we'll absolutely follow up with you afterwards. Make sure to get that answered. And yes, I do see questions are already coming in. There will be a recording. So if you are attending this live, not to worry. You can go ahead and just sit back, enjoy, and we will send you a recording tomorrow. And then lastly, today we're going to be focusing on a high-level overview, but we'd be happy to go into more detail with a one-on-one demo, answer any more in-depth questions with you after the webinar. So with that said, I will go ahead and hand things over to our lovely COO, Jeff Priest. Jeff, what can you tell us about this series?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you all for joining today. We're excited to talk to you. We have a series right now that is really geared towards government agencies. We, in fact, in terms of, we kind of split the company up in vertical markets. The government business for us represents sort of our largest vertical. And so we do work at the federal level all the way down to the local level. Today, our focus is really on presenting our NITRO Help Desk. So there's a multitude of agencies that are using our help desk. We'll get into that specifically today to talk about what that is and how other agencies are benefiting. But up and coming, we're really excited to talk about some things that are of sort of great importance in a lot of the conversations we've been having, especially in government, around our NITRO governance tool, which is a full comprehensive solution that does the analysis and overview of all things related to M365, help you understand things like app sprawl. It's now become an ecosystem of tools as opposed to individual products that Microsoft has offered in the past. And now within that ecosystem is really trying to get control of that. So there's understanding things like app sprawl, licensing. Are you overspending on licensing? What types of licensing do you currently have? Compliance, for example. The other, there's a lot of things that we could talk about here, but even the idea of, would it be good to understand if you're offboarding somebody, everything within the M365 environment that they've been, added to, they're a part of, or they've created, that we can offboard that person properly and make sure that they're kind of extracted from your environment. So also is in the third session is our NITRO Studio platform, which is really a development platform. I guess if you think, Power Platform and Power Automate and flows, etc., it's a tool that that our customers use for various things. They want to build applications, they want to build forms, they want forms and workflow and true business process automation. It is a platform itself that allows you to build one application or to the degree to other things you can do, whether it be in HR, whether it be in sales, whether it be in IT. There's always business processes today that we still do manually or in spreadsheets and or communication through email. So it's a full development platform that is being adopted widely by our customers throughout their organization, and huge benefits coming from that particular product. So just kind of I guess, a little eye candy. Just, we work, like we said, we work with a large number of different agencies, from transportation authorities to health districts to the DoD. You can see here just a few of them that we support. So we have sort of deep expertise in understanding these agencies, how to work with these agencies. Whether GCC, GCC High, we're there and embedded in agencies across the nation.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
So I just wanted to, touch base and talk specifically about a customer, and specifically what we did to help them with a business need. And just wanted to follow up, and obviously one of their concerns is that they were looking at, they wanted to move from their disparate point systems and use a native 365 M365 single sign-on system. And that may sound familiar to some of you. They wanted an automated ticketing solution, giving visibility into their, what their users would see, specifically the technicians, and then the management point of view. So they had issues with reporting, and they wanted to be able to work with custom actions, improve their workflows, have a custom forms designer, and then giving them the ability to automate the process into a single platform. And that particular client, and we're going to show you kind of a demo of, helping you understand and see a purview of why we understand and know that our NITRO Studio, and specifically within Help Desk, is the best of breed, best in the industry. And so I'd like to introduce, if I may, Ryan Stefani. He's our solutions engineer, our subject matter expert, and he'll be able to give you that unique view and show you specifically how we were able to resolve their business need.
Hello, everybody. You're gonna have to excuse my lack of camera today, but we will power through this anyway. You guys don't need to see my ugly mug. There we go. Okay, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about government entities and the way that we've interacted with them in the past. So this particular client, it came down to, like, how do we flesh out multiple request systems inside of your Office 365 space? Like, for instance, Help Desk, IT Help Desk, which I have teed up, ready to show, HR requests, marketing requests, right? Kind of the various departments inside of the group. And how do we manage and maintain that from a permissions perspective, but still provide kind of a holistic view for the entire organization to see, general requests across the entire company. And actually, one of the things I think we do really well, I mean, the NITRO Studio gets a lot of love. Forms, workflows, obviously it's a hot topic in any space, particularly Office 365. But one of the things I think we do really well is provide a unique experience to each, in our case, user groups. So end users, air quotes, end users, technicians, and admins, right? And, one of the inherent problems in Office 365 is this idea of permissions for end users. I want them to submit a ticket, a request, whether it be IT or time off or a leave request or submit an expense report, but I want them separate. I want them, not to be able to change the request after it's submitted, right, for obvious reasons. Just know that, I call them the warm and fuzzies, but know that the request was submitted and now it's being processed by the internal staff. So how do we do that? And really, kind of the core functionality and the core structure of that starts at the NITRO Studio level. So if we do talk about, the three different groups that typically we work with inside of, our platform: end users, technicians, admins. Admins are only going to have access to this NITRO platform that Jeff mentioned and this back end of the tool, this admin section. And I'm not going to spend too much time on the NITRO Studio aspect because we have other webinars teed up for that. But one of the interesting things with our forms tool is that you can essentially create multiple forms per list. And why this is important is because it goes back to that concept of presenting something to a user that we don't want them, that we want them to see and maybe not be, or more feature set for our technicians. So you can see we have a portal form and then a tickets form. And the portal form is, well, you know, this idea of a self-service portal, right? I think that's prominent in any space, particularly in Office 365 when its inception came about in, I don't know, 2014. Makes me feel old realizing it's been 10 years. I've already been in SharePoint, but you know, this idea of self-service where they can come in and submit a ticket, view their tickets, in this case, view KB articles. But as you can see, populates my information in the system or in the form, and then gives me the ability to fill out a ticket, right? So with that being said, going back to that forms tool, we provided a unique experience to a user. We've allowed them to submit tickets, view tickets, right, in this case, and keep them separate from that technician, from that back-end group, which they live out of here. Now, you know, self-service is it's been in the space forever. Like I said, 10 years already. It's great. It's functional, right? You know, we can submit tickets, we can view, like I said, but really when the, pandemic hit 3 years ago, it's wild to say that out loud. Can't believe it's already been 3 years. We've had this growing presence of Teams. And I saw some stat recently, like, you know, 60% of the workforce uses Teams, you know, which is wild. But in 365, it's even more prominent, right? So it's like, how do we leverage Teams to accomplish the same self-service portal idea and make it effective for end users? And that's what I'm going to shift to right now. So it was kind of a maturation process. So it was like, okay, that portal I was showing, you know, can we take it and replicate it inside of a Teams channel? Which we can. You know, it's essentially mirroring the interface from SharePoint to Teams. And my favorite saying, I think everyone gets tired of me saying it internally, is, you know, end users always regress back to their lowest level of training. And it's true, right? I mean, we're kind of dead in the water if the users don't use this ticket submission process, right? Or these portals. Now we have email to ticket creation, right? You know, for multiple departments. So you can always submit an email to create a ticket. But the more information we capture, or the more information that we present, gives us the ability to solve issues quicker, right? More seamlessly, provide a better end user experience, etc. So, like I was saying, this is was a natural jump from SharePoint to Teams portals, right? But the next big jump for us came in the way of what we call NITRO Engage. I already have it teed up, Brian. And what NITRO Engage is, really, in its simplest form, is a guided experience, right? A question and answer, providing our end users a slew of commands to be able to do the same thing that they can do in the portal, right? Submit a request, view their requests, view KB articles. Essentially, it's an extension, you know, like in hand holding, right, through the request submission process. And again, just as a disclaimer, you know, I'm looking at IT tickets, but this could be for anything. You know, we have it for purchasing, we have it for customer success, or we have it for HR leave requests, etc. Just kind of showcasing the different commands that we can present and the way that we can interact with the end users. And here we go. This is called an adaptive card, and they can fill out their ticket just like they would through the portal through this adaptive card, right? You know, need ABC, something super descriptive we typically get, right? And they get the warm and fuzzies, you know, ticket submission through this interface. So I think it's interesting. You know, I mean, I don't think that email to ticket submission is ever really going to go away, right? We're always going to have that regardless of department or request type. The portals are nice, and it does provide the people to self-serve, but adding this Teams interaction to it, I feel, has grown our user adoption of our tools, not only internally, right? We definitely eat our own dog food, but also with our customers as well. We've seen kind of a jump in terms of end users filling out the forms and searching KBs through this interface as opposed to relying solely on email. So now once the ticket is created, you know, the request is created, I should say, I don't want to generalize on IT, it all flows to the back-end list. So like I was showing in the admin section, right, of our forms, now we talk about that technicians, our air quotes technicians, who manages the requests. And what's nice about this is that since we're leveraging your 365 environment, it really just becomes an extension of what is equal to me, right? What's equal to Ryan in this case. So you're seeing my dashboard, my tickets, right? What do I have? Who's the requester? Well, everything in my name. And now if you're a manager, maybe you want to see things across all departments, right? Or well, I'll get there in a second. I jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe you want to see things across IT, right? Open tickets, unassigned tickets, etc. But now we have this, clear delineation of end user, technician, manager, right? All inside of this request system. And I know, like, the reason I slow down, I talk about this in more detail, just because this is an issue in 365 inherently, right? It's like, how do we segment and segregate people to make sure they only can see what they can see, etc. And that's basically what we're doing here, right? Provided these unique dashboard experiences for those different targeted groups. Now, from a request system perspective, you're looking at our new NITRO Help Desk, and you can see we've added a slew of reports for management, for, well, really anybody, anything from tickets, staff load by ticket, right? As you're seeing, open tickets by category and priority, ticket trends, tickets by week, tickets by month, closed by week, closed by staff by month. And it gives us a really nice holistic view for, in this case, an IT help desk. Now, what's nice about this, and another limitation that lives inside of 365 inherently, is this site collection limitation, right? Being able to, or a single site or site collection, how do you connect those and have that information roll up? Because it all comes back to that permissions perspective. So in this case, again, I'm showing a singular site, right? Information on the tickets list, basically any information that lives in the list we can report on. But let's say, in this particular use case that Enoch mentioned as a part of the lead-in was, how do we solve this for a slew of different departments? I think in their case, it was like 8 or 7, somewhere in that range. So essentially what we can do now is implant these sites, these help desks, these request systems in their own sites, and then take that information and create roll-up dashboards like I'm showing now, right? So instead of seeing this for a single department, it can be across the entire organization. Right. So now you have your C-level dashboards. I send my reports to Jeff every Friday, right? Management every Friday, and I do much of the same, right? I've created my views, my reports, and have that easy accessibility of information that can be passed along to the right people at any point in time, and that's what we're showing here. And now, our help desk is brand new, NITRO Help Desk that James, our product manager, did a webinar for yesterday. If you're on our website, I suggest checking that out. And if you want to do like a demo of the help desk independently, like Enoch said, ping him and we're happy to run you through that. But one of the big features that we've released is this idea of SLAs inside of Office 365. So you can see anything from resolution breaches, etc., all inside of this SLA package. Now, what I'm going to shift to is the admin side, the back-end side. And before I get too heavily in the SLAs, let me just kind of precursor this with what admin means to us. So in SharePoint speak, it's full control, right? You're like, what the heck does that mean, Ryan? Full control. Basically, you can go in and make any changes to the site that you see fit. So what's nice about this is that NITRO Studio comes included with all of our applications. And if you have that full control, you can go in and make those changes. So you get a bit of autonomy in the sense of making this application specific to your organization. I get that question a lot, right? Now, does it work out of the box? Absolutely, right? Everything I'm showing you guys today is an out of the box feature. But every organization is their own, right? They're all independent. You guys have all, requirements specific to, to what you do every day. And we want to make sure that you have the flexibility to match those requirements. So it could be anything from setting up your own categories of requests, creating your own notification types, all the way down to complete configuration inside of that NITRO Studio tool set, which I briefly showed earlier. So this admin area, to sum up, is your ability to make those changes, right? Complete control over your data, another great point of using Office 365, but also, of the site itself. So this SLA feature, yeah, I mean, I like it. Call me a nerd, that's okay. But it does give us a lot of flexibility to create SLAs on the fly and do it easily, right? I think in the 365 space, we're the only company doing it with this flexibility and this ease of use. So it can be anything from first reply to resolution of the request in minutes, right? For both. And then also being able to run workflows from here as well. So we saw a little bit of the adaptive card aspect when we submitted a request through the Teams Engage. We'll come back to this in a second. But yeah, also being able to run unique conditions. So this is very key, because now when we're talking about SharePoint, I won't dwell too much in the weeds here, but lists and columns, basically any column that's created, and this ties in with the flexibility of the tool. So now you have the permissions clean. As an admin, you have full autonomy to create inside of the application. You've created your own columns, and now you want to run workflows, reports, SLAs off of those columns. It gives you that flexibility to do so. So really any data captured in the list, in the tickets list, and the request list can have an SLA run off of it. Is it when it's created? Is it when it's due? Is it etc.? Is it the requester, right? Gives us the ability to configure those unique SLAs to the use case, to the requirements type. Really cool feature, really excited for this. I'm excited for this to roll out and for our group not only internally to use it, but also for our customer base to use it as well. Yeah, the adaptive cards. So now talking about the transitioning from end user to technician and to back end staff. I show the Teams interaction mainly as the user interface, the end user interface, right? Because I think in most cases, all of us are trying to come back to that main point of how can we make the users happy? How can we get them to use the tools that we put in place? Which is important, right? I think that's definitely most important. But we also want to make sure that our staff can update, anything, inside of your 365 platform using the same interface, using the same set of tools. I mean, gone are the days of, everyone just working from machines, right? Our phones are becoming more and more prominent, with each passing day, it feels like. So if we switch from the end user, right, hat to the technician hat or to the admin hat, and we want to be able to say, see when an SLA is breached or be able to update a request through an app, we can as well, through this adaptive card process. Now, I show this, let me preface, we can generate emails, right? Email notifications when tickets are created or when tickets are assigned or when tickets are updated, right? We still have that email feature. That's not going anywhere. But it's nice to have both, either or both, right? So from now as a technician, it's 4:59. You're rushing out. You're like, all right, I'm done for the day. And Ryan submits a ticket literally in the last minute. You're like, okay. And the SLA's clock's ticking, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to say like, okay, I'm going to reassign this. I'm going to select, whoever it may be, reassign it to the correct person and say, hey, this has been reassigned, or just update the log. Okay, we'll work on this first thing tomorrow. Okay, helps if I can spell. But the point I'm trying to prove, is that we don't, as technicians, as back-end departmental staff, we don't necessarily have to be tied to our machines anymore, right? This gives us the flexibility to see those requests come in specifically to us and then be able to respond or update that request almost instantaneously on the fly from your phone. Now, going back to our use case, why that was important for that particular customer is that when we get into facilities, right, work order management and work order tracking, I mean, heck, even IT or as well, I should say, but facilities more so is, the team's always moving around, jumping from location to location, department to department. There's another county we work with down here in Southern California that is updating work orders, their sheriff's department from the range, from the firing range, and want to be able to update things on the fly. It has provided them the flexibility to do so, right? Tablets, phones, it has that same flexibility and functionality to do as you would, sitting at your laptop. One last thing on the teams, and then I promise I'll stop beating a dead horse. It's this idea of, end users, technicians. but also when we get into this concept of approvals, right? And this can be anything. So like I was saying, we have a bunch of different applications that are out of the box. Talk about ticketing, requests, right? Facilities. I'm going to use purchasing as an example just because I want to highlight this while I'm here. I know it doesn't really pertain to ticket systems, but bear with me, right? Let's say something needs to be approved. What's the example we provided earlier, like time off or expense, or maybe change management in in IT, or in this case, purchasing, right? So as an approver, this was always a unique experience that we had to circumvent inside of our applications, primarily with a few different government customers. How do I get approvers to fill out approval tests? Right. Do I get them to go into the application, to click on their approval task, to open the task, and to complete the approval task from the interface? Wasn't always effective, right? Regressed back to their lowest level of training, right? They didn't want to do it. So email became prominent, but then with Teams and everyone's growing interaction with Teams is that we can present them that same notification that, hey, you have to approve this, right? Here's a link, here's an adaptive card, and the ability to run the workflow from the interface, right? So it doesn't really fall, I know I said 3 groups at the beginning, end users, technician, and management. So it doesn't really quite fall in any of those groups. Well, potentially, depending, for change if you're a part of the management group. But how can we make that how can we make it easier for all particular groups to interact with the applications? And this is just another way, right? So like I was saying, it doesn't really fall into any one of those groups, but approval tasks in any organization are important, and we want to make sure they get filled out in a timely manner. And leveraging this tool set is just another way to do so. Yeah, and I think just kind of quickly before I sign off and turn it back to Enoch for any questions, things like that, is the idea of reporting. So I touched on it, briefly during showing the manager's dashboard. As long as the information is captured in the system, we can report on it, right? So you can see we have these nice reports ready to go out of the box. As a part of our report center, you'll see a slew of reports here, right? An aggressive amount of reports, but I like reports, so here they are. But at any point in time, you can create your own, right? It's a part of that NITRO Studio platform. And like I said, as long as the information lives in the system, as long as it's in the tool, as long as it's captured in the tool, we can report on it, right? So it just gives us that flexibility, and then keeps it in-house, right? Keeps it inside of your 365 tenant. So you can have these reports live in a page. And then one thing I will say is something that I use pretty well, or pretty often, I don't know. I digress. Is this printing tool, is this PDF print manager. I think this is the most underrated aspect of NITRO Studio. It's called Crocanian Print Manager. And we have our live reports, but also the ability to be able to PDF or pull a PDF report from clicking a button. Show me all assets assigned to a user. Show me all requests by department. Show me all requests by a user, right? And being able to pull that search and then print it and email it directly from one interface is quite handy. It is really nice. It gives us a bit more flexibility in terms of what we can do from a reporting perspective, right? The live graphical interface reports, as well as the hard data as well. And that's my spiel. I appreciate you guys for sticking through the demo. Yeah, Enoch, any questions that popped up or any things that I can answer?
We do have a question that came in. The first question was, please touch on the ability to use this as a run book.
A run book. Can you?
Let me answer that one. So I guess in terms of definition of run book, it essentially is a how-to guide. I mean, we do have a knowledge base that's embedded in this. The knowledge base, right now this is manual. I know we can, from a run book standpoint, we got the idea of manual, semi-auto, and automated processes to resolve issues. So right now we have a you know, a KV component to this that acts as that runbook feature essentially, right? But right now there's not any automation necessarily built into that, you know, specifically, but that's actually on our roadmap to address that. I think John has another question, the same server inventory and who owns it. Not exactly sure how do I interpret that, John, but maybe what we can do is circle back on some of your questions here and kind of get into those in more specifically. But but in terms of inventory and asset management, again, I'd have to just interpret that, you know, as a you know, what you've typed in there. But there is in our IT Help Desk Pro, we do have an asset management component as well that does inventory, that has, you know, all the details of the assets and who owns those. That is attached. For example, if you submit a ticket and we know that it's about a particular piece of equipment that's been assigned to somebody, that's all part of the record. I think you know, Ryan's going into, so one is associated with the other, and then the other associated with the, you know, for example, asset associated with tickets and tickets associated with an asset. So kind of back and forth between those. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. So if you have additional questions and want to dive deeper into that, happy to continue that conversation one-on-one.
Absolutely, John, and know that I'll follow up with you in a one-off as well. It looks like we, you know, have some additional questions. Wanted to make sure, Ryan, if you could address the next one. One beautiful thing that I wanted to point out is, as you can see, a lot of our products were driven by our customers, right? So a lot of the tools that we've come out with and that we've developed have been due to the needs and business needs of certain customers, and we continue to improve and evolve those. But it's, you know, these are real business problems today faced in multiple government agencies, and these are real solutions that were developed by people understanding, you know, that need. Ryan, do you want to take the next question?
I think the next question. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry, I cut you off. Go.
I mean, I think I'm not sure which question you're referring to, but John, we will be in touch. We'll call you. We'll dive deeper into that. So
cool. Yeah. So one of the big things that I want to touch on just quickly, while I got you guys, is this concept and this idea of forms. So we work with the two government entities, the Northern Virginia Electric Cooperative and the two of the come to the top of my head, and the U.S. Navy Pentagon, the new Secretary of the Navy's Office at the Pentagon. And one of the big things with them is this idea of having forms look a certain way, right? So since we're in Office 365, we're kind of adhering to SharePoint lists and forms. We have flexibility to make forms look and feel a certain way, which I could spend 3 hours on, the forms tool. So if you're interested, let me know, or let Enoch know, and we can set up a demo. But it's this output of a form, right? This idea of, hey, it has to adhere to these certain guidelines. Like, you know, management won't sign off unless it has, you know, certain cell padding, or, you know, it has to look and feel a certain way. So going back to the print manager tool, I touched on it a little bit in pulling like mass information. Basically, using the print feature, we can create a rich text print template so that when we capture the metadata on the form, we can essentially mail merge that information from the item into, in this case, a print template. It can be a Word doc, it can be Excel, but like, hey, Ryan, it has to look and feel a certain way. So in this case, we're creating a purchase order, but let's say it's an I-9, a W-4, whatever, right? We can make that form spit out and look exactly like the form, and to get it signed off, or just to store in a Docker library. So like I was saying, the print manager tool is flexible, it is really nice, and it does give us that ability to have your form stay consistent from a look and feel perspective at the end output of the workflow.
And one thing, Ryan, I wanted to ask here that we could touch on is this idea. We're talking the IT Help Desk, and you've mentioned request management. We're looking at this, you know, as a purchase request, but can you give some various examples of, you know, when we talk about help desk, let's also think about anytime a ticket comes in, usually it's a request for help, right? It's something's wrong, something's broken, they need help with something. But when you talk about request management, can you kind of address how we're serving our customers, how they're using this same exact system for request management in various applications, various ways throughout the organization?
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. And I think this might actually answer Sandy's question as well. It's a good point, Jeff. One of our customers, essentially what they do is they have a user request system, request management. Basically a request that can be, well, disseminated across multiple departments. So in their case, it can be a ticket, it can be a SharePoint feature request, it can be a work order, or it can be a project. And how do we differentiate, those requests to the appropriate department? And what's cool in this particular use case is that when the request comes in, it's in a generic bucket, right? Hey, Ryan submitted a request 1. And then based off of the change process or approval process or routing process, maybe is the better way to explain it internally, it gets associated to the right bucket, right? So let's say we're in project management, right? And through our project management, or maybe work order, since we're talking about requests, either or, picks one, half dozen of the other. And through our work order or through our project, we've recognized, in this case, that we need to purchase something, whether it be service hours or something, like a physical, purchase, laptops, whatever it may be, right? Using this nifty little feature that we call custom actions. And it's basically linking multiple applications together. And in this case, our customer is doing this exact same thing. They can be in a work order and they need to purchase something. From the work order, they have the ability to invoke this workflow manually to actually create a request, a purchase rec, and associate it automatically to the work order. So now you can start to see the trickle down effect it has. And what we've done with this particular customer is essentially leverage Office 365 as the platform of choice. And it all starts from that top level request management, right? I need something. What is it? Is it a work order? Is it a project, etc.? And then through the routing process, it gets dumped into the right bucket. But through these things that we call custom actions, at any point in time, those departments can be connected together and have one be related to another, work orders to purchasing. And in Sandy's case, she was asking about, a ticket and a project. The same process can be done through ticketing system, right? I have a ticket, and all of a sudden it's created a project, an upgrade, a server replacement. You have the ability now to create a project from a ticket and have that ticket be related to the project. Very similar for this customer that we're working with in the aerospace industry. Does that help, Jeff? Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so I guess the goal here is that to indicate that these solutions that we have, that we offer, there's some out of the box that are very sort of use case based, right? A purchase request system or a lead request system or IT help desk. But what we see most is people do buy those, they do utilize those. Many times they customize those, but perhaps their particular requirement would be some type of request or ticketing solution that will eventually, and say some or if not all, will generate a project or multiple projects. These creative things are where people come to us for this. This is exactly what we do. We sit down, understand what you're trying to accomplish. We take this platform that we have, and then we show you how the platform can then be used to accomplish this particular business requirement. So highly customizable. We have customers that will have hundreds of forms. Some of those forms have workflows, some of them don't. And they have all various ways that they find to utilize this to the benefit of the business to drive efficiencies, productivities, cost savings, all these sort of, buzzwords that, that are, seem cliche, I guess, but as we have these conversations, the goal is how to do more with less. How do we create automation, and how do we do that to meet your particular specific business needs? So these conversations become really interesting because, I would say in 99.99% of the cases, there's always a way to build what you need, with this particular platform, and becomes fun for us, becomes interesting for the clients, for them to sort of open their imaginations to all the things that can be done. So no, I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Yeah, of course.
And just to finish off, just wanted to, again, thank you for attending, and make sure that you're aware, many of our clients have questions and have concerns about governance and things that are kind of hot topics, as I mentioned. So please look forward to invites and from me personally for the other upcoming webinars. And I'll look forward to reaching out to you individually and thanking you again for your attendance. If you have any questions, if you'd like to see more information, dive a little bit deeper, completely open to that. Please reach out to me via Teams. You have my contact information, my email as well. Wanted to make sure that you have the ability to reach out to me, and let's have that personal one-off conversation. And then we can schedule a custom demo and make sure that we address your specific business need. Again, we thank you for attending. If you have any additional questions, reach out, and I look forward to seeing you again if needed on the next and following webinar. Oh, wanted to make sure that I finish off with a customer quote specifically about our business solution. So this is from Spokane Regional Health District, and this was, again, the client that I was referring to. Once she saw, because of the need for reporting, the custom workflows and forms designer, she knew that this was the solution that they needed to have, and that was Spokane Regional Health District. Again, look forward to hearing from you if you have additional questions.